Check 1 2 2 1 2. Check 1 2. Test check 1 2.
Another speaker is the two representatives that have vouched.
One simple sugar hack that anyone can use to reset their blood sugar on demand. Did you know that you can pee out blood sugar? Most people don't know this, but the real reason behind unbalanced blood sugar has nothing to
All right. Good morning, everybody. How's it going this morning? We all made it here, despite the flight delays and bus challenges. So we're so happy that everybody has made it this morning. Welcome to the 2024 Educators Rising State Student Leadership Conference. Woo! One more clap. Yeah, we're so happy that everyone was able to make it here. I know it's been a journey for all of us to get here in different ways, flight delays and things like that. So we're really excited that everyone has made it here today. This is the largest group that Ed Rising Alaska has ever had at a state conference, so woohoo to that. We have about 13 school districts here today and 30 different schools, so that is super amazing to see. And I first just wanted to start out by thanking UAS for allowing us to highlight their campus this year and also all of their support for making this happen. So round of applause to UAS. Thank you, UAS. And I just wanted to start out by introducing some folks that have been involved with making this conference happen and their support. If you hear me call your name, just feel free to stand up and wave your hand just so people can see who you are. So first, I just wanted to start out with UAS Dean, School of Education, Carlee Simon. Woo! And then, I don't know if everyone is in here, but we have Emily Smith over there. Just wave and say hi. Kelsey Walls. I don't know if Kelsey Walls is in here, but shout out to Kelsey. We have Jeffrey Loftus. Yay. Kiwana Afatato. Lori Klein and Dave Klein. Michelle Nakamura. And Cody Bennett. So thank you so much, UAS, again, for all of your support in making this happen. I want to also go ahead and introduce our K-12 outreach / Ed Rising staff as well. We have Interim Director Sam Norland. I don't know if Sam's in here right now, but he's here somewhere. We have Putt Clark, our communications specialist. We have Keiko Herrick, our K-12 lead researcher, K-12 outreach lead researcher. Woo! We have Sean Rover, our fiscal and logistics coordinator. Nikhil Nandagopal, our intern program coordinator. Sorry about that. And then Gary Cooper, our education and competition specialist. I don't know if Gary's in here, but thank you, Gary. Gary has been very involved with all of the competitions that you all have competed in, so big shout out to Gary. And then I'll finish off with me. I'm Amara Fraze. I should have said that in the beginning, but I am the Interim Ed Rising Program Manager, so it's nice to finally meet all of you. I know you've probably been doing a lot of emailing with me and my team, so we're super happy to actually get to meet you in person. Next, I want to go ahead and introduce our lovely 2024 state student officers. They're from all over. We have Gunther Polzen with Palmer High School. We have Martin Olson from Mount Edgecombe. We have Ellen Reddington from Joe Reddington Senior High School. And then we have Morgan Carlson Kelly from Homer High School. All right, thank you so much, all. We're really excited for what is in store the next few days, and I'm gonna go ahead and pass this off to Gunther.
That's a little better. Can you all hear me all right? All right. I'd like to introduce Francis Houston. Francis Houston was born and raised in Juneau. Alaska, the homeland of her ancestors, in 2017. She was assigned as the Occoquan tribal spokesman by her mother to continue her work.
Okay, he's taller than me. What an exciting morning. Wow. I'm quite happy with what I'm seeing. So I wrote this up real quick, so I'm going to be reading it, so pardon me. I am, my Tlingit name is Sekuni. This name was given to me after I was born by my grandmother. And my grandmother Bessie, she was the matriarch of the Occoquans, and she held that title for quite some time. She lived to be 97. Then my mother stepped in, Rosa Miller, and she was the tribal spokesperson, leader, however you want to put it. And when it was time for her to step down, here I am. I have this. And that's, I have to say thank you to my mother and to my grandma. It is my, oh, okay, I'm gonna, sheesh. Okay, it is my pleasure to be here for this gathering, the Educating Rising Alaska Conference. So I already mentioned my Tlingit name. My English name is Fran Houston, and yes, I was born and raised here. Our ancestors go back hundreds and hundreds of years ago. And I was assigned to be the tribal spokesperson. I am of the Raven Moiety, Tlinadi, which means dog salmon, the dog salmon clan, and from the Yaktehit. When I say Yaktehit, that means the Big Dipper House. We were the first settlers of this area. Our homeland runs from Berners Bay, which is probably north from here, probably about another 20 miles or more, Berners Bay, in Juneau Douglas area, and to the end of Seymour Canal. These lands are, okay, let's see. Okay, these lands are very sacred to us, which are spirits of our ancestors as this is where they have roamed in these lands. Let me rephrase that. We have welcomed many, many visitors and people to be in this area. Oh, okay. We also have songs about this area, like the first time we had electricity. My ancestor composed a song. The other was when the first airplane came into Juneau. This was really, our ancestors, they weren't quite sure what was going on, but you know, it was something new. So we have lots of stories of this area, and all this was passed on down from generation and generation. And we are trying to document what we have and the meanings of these stories. We also are pleased with the cultural differences. They are respected. I don't know how many of you have been downtown Juneau, But if you have seen some signs up, and it's giving a little brief history of Juneau. And this was done about 2 years ago. And of course, it was 3 years in the making. So you see these little signs of the different areas. And the other thing, too, in the downtown area that just happened last year, and the thing is there's 12 or 13 totem poles on the waterfront, and there are more to be put up. And all this is going to represent Southeast, Tlingit, Haida, Tsimshian. And I am to my last statement here. It is so good to see young people here and the interest that they may have. I wish you all the luck. So I know that a lot of you came from all over Alaska. I'm going to ask one question. My question is, how many of you, this is your first time in Juneau? Raise your hand. All right, look at that. So you're officially welcome to Occoquan territory. Gunachish, when you go home, I hope everything is safe, you get home safely to your family, and have a wonderful, wonderful few days here in Juneau with this conference. Gunachish.
Okay, my talking points are on my phone, so I'm not like on TikTok or Instagram or anything, just so everyone knows. So I am introducing Dean Carlee Simon. Dr. Simon holds a PhD in Educational Administration and Policy, focusing on public school finance from the University of Florida. With this expertise, she deeply understands the current challenges and opportunities within the education systems. Dr. Simon's objective is to bolster Alaska's efforts in cultivating homegrown educators. Leveraging her background in teacher development and recruitment, she aims to collaborate with local P-12 schools, educational entities, Alaska Native American Indian organizations, and tribes to enrich the education of individuals dedicated to serving P-12 schools across Alaska. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning. So we're excited that you are here. We have been planning for you for months, almost more than half the year. The excitement is because we believe in education, and we know that you do too. And so we're very, very glad to have you on our campus. As we saw earlier, many of you are here for the first time. So what we're hoping is that you come here and you fall in love and you want to come back. And you want to come back and be students, and you want to be students in the School of Education. So first off, welcome. And I'll start with, I'm the interim dean for the School of Ed. And I want to kind of take some time to explain a bit more about this part of the education system, because we have the K-12, which you're going to learn a ton about today and tomorrow. But the higher education system is still part of your education system. So for those of you who don't totally understand it, I'm going to give you some explanation of what my position is and how the whole structure works. So in Alaska, we have a UA system, that's University of Alaska system. So we have University of Alaska Anchorage, Fairbanks, and Southeast. At the University of Alaska Southeast, we have a chancellor, that's Dr. Aparna Palmer, and we have a provost, that's Maren Havig, and then we have deans. And so Corey Ortiz, over here. Dr. Ortiz is our Dean for Career Tech Education. Karen Silkaitis, which you will meet later, she is doing a presentation. She's the Dean of Arts and Sciences. And I'm the Dean for the School of Ed. We also have a campus in Sitka and a campus in Ketchikan. So the role of the Dean is to support the faculty in the School of Education to develop programs that prepare teachers and prepare administrators to serve students in Alaska. And so that's a little bit of what I do, because I'm not sure if I was 17, 18, if I would have known what a dean did. So I hope you are good with that little explanation. So this is not on, now it is. So I want to start with teaching. We're all here for a reason. We know that we have educators in here, and the reason that they're your teachers is because they fell in love with teaching. I believe that teaching is the greatest act of optimism. And I'll start with, we all have our favorite teacher. I have a few. I'm guessing a few of you have a few as well. One would be my second grade teacher, Diana Davis. She was my second grade teacher who would dress up on Halloween as Smurfette. We dissected cow eyes. She took us to Pizza Hut. We would spit straw paper at each other, and she made learning fun every single day. When I went back to Florida after some time in Ohio, I became her superintendent, which was a really interesting relationship because the woman who knew me when I was just a child actually became an employee, a colleague, a friend, and a person who told me when I made bad decisions and I needed to get that feedback. And I thank her very much for that. And so that's an example of my teacher that would be my favorite. But my most favorite teacher is my late husband. And so his name was Adam Eskew. He grew up in Oklahoma. I met him. I was a shop teacher in the Tampa Bay region, which means I taught freshmen boys and girls wood shop. So we had a lot of power tools and kids, and it was wild. But I met him because he was the department head of lumber at Home Depot. And he helped me get all the supplies that I needed. In that time period, we got married, and we had our first child. And then he had a moment where he decided he needed to change his life. And so he went as a 26-year-old man to get his teaching degree. So I had been teaching high school mathematics because I decided I was a little nervous about power tools and children, and especially teenage boys who wear their goggles cockeyed and wouldn't even look at the saw when they were sawing. But he went into the education system and he became an elementary school teacher. And the reason he's my favorite teacher is because he hated school when he was a kid. He was bored. It was a traditional model where he was expected to sit, pay attention, be quiet, and absorb. And he couldn't stand it. So when he became a teacher, he became the best teacher that he wished he had. He also, in that time period, became an exceptional father. So in that process, he was Mr. Eskew, and so we had Mr. Eskew to the rescue, and that was the running theme. And if anybody knows, I mean, I'm guessing, how many people have an elementary school male teacher? There's not a lot. Actually, it was a little embarrassing. He got hired before I did when we moved into our new community, and I was a high school math teacher, and so he got the job first. So I was a little jealous of him at the moment. But what the other thing he did is, so he became an exceptional elementary school teacher. But then we moved to Cincinnati, and when we got to Cincinnati, he was diagnosed with cancer. And while he was fighting his cancer, he decided he needed to put his energy somewhere. And so he ended up volunteering in schools, and he went and he got his graduate degree. And so he focused on a master's in curriculum and instruction while he was battling cancer. Unfortunately, he ended up passing away a little over 10 years ago, and he has his master's degree posthumously. And what I really appreciate him, obviously I'm biased, I love him, he's the father of my children, but what I liked is that he knew education was going to carry him, and it carried him all the way through his life. He was important to me, and I know he was important to many students that he had. And when I was superintendent back in that community where he taught, I had people 10 years after he passed tell me how he changed their child's life. And that's why educators are so important, and that's why we remember them, our favorite ones. Thank you. So Adam and I had 3 boys. I have Noah, 21, Liam is 17, and Aiden is 14. So how many seniors do I have in this room? Okay. I'm sure all of you know exactly what you're going to do as soon as you graduate, right? It's all planned out. No, it's not. And you know what? Please don't ever think that you should know what you're going to do. I'm 47 years old. I'm not even sure what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. So it's okay. And what I want to talk to you about is kind of what the education system can do with you and for you, because we're all going to have our own paths forward. And some of us are going to immediately go into college. Some of us are going to need a little more time to bake. And then some of us might have a whole nother career and then end up finding themselves coming back into education, because that happens all the time. So are you ready to go to college now? Great. We have opportunities right now for you. If you want to go out and go into the workforce, we will have opportunities when you want to come back to us. We also have opportunities where you can take other paths within the UAS system, and then you could always come and get a master's in teaching and become a teacher. So you're going to be filled with a lot of choices. I know when I talk to my son, Liam, who's a senior, a lot of it is, kind of a decision paralysis. He wants to do something, he's not quite sure, maybe he does. One of the things you gotta understand is one, none of your decisions will ever be permanent. You have every right to change your mind. And that's the best part about it. Life is very, very long, and you can make all sorts of changes. So nothing is permanent, and I'd like to talk to you about becoming an educator. So I think what you'll find, whether you become a K-12 educator or a higher education educator, you will be an educator even if you're not in that career. We are educators all the time. If you're a parent, you will constantly be an educator. How to use a spoon, how to go to the bathroom on the bathroom, how to make your bed, how to do calculus. These are things that you'll constantly be doing. And so what I'd like to do is encourage you to join the field of education, and I'd like you to join the field of education in Alaska. We need you, and we're going to talk a lot about that in the next 2 days. Oh, that slide looked fine on my computer. I'm really sorry about that. So first off, I find this hysterical. So who plays with ChatGPT? I love ChatGPT. I asked it to make me an image of the challenges in teaching. And for those of you who are under 30 probably, that's a chalkboard in the back. We used to write on it with chalk. You'd have to bang the erasers. It made a mess. It wasn't great. But this still is a pretty good depiction of teaching. Those of you who have teachers in your lives, whether they're people who took you here, family members, in my situation, both my parents were educators, you know that they took their work home with them, right? They're grading. Gosh, English teachers are grading all the time. And now we have even more challenges going on. There's a teacher shortage. That teacher shortage is here in Alaska, but that teacher shortage is across the country. Because what we have going on right now is we have a shortage of funding because you get what you pay for. Quality educators cost considerable amount of funding. And what we have seen across the country is a plateau of funding. So when you have a shortage of teachers, you have teachers who are doing more than just one person's job. You also have the COVID response. We've all been exposed to that experience. I was a superintendent during COVID. Not only were we fearful of getting sick or losing family members, but we had to do virtual learning. We had teachers who had to radically learn how to be a face-to-face teacher and to teach online with, I'm guessing most of you, like 2-3 days of planning, if that. There's things that have to happen every single day that can be challenging. The one thing I have noticed with educators is they're resourceful. They will figure it out, and they always do. And that leads us to the opportunities. So we all know that the money is an issue. We also know that having a lot on your plate is also a part of the challenges. But we also know that people still go into teaching and they want to stay in teaching and they love teaching. I'm Facebook friends with many students who I taught a long, long time ago. I still consider myself very much an educator, and I do it because I believe in it. It's important to me. I think what we also see going on, and I think COVID really kind of catapulted us to this place, is that we're having to be innovative. We cannot continue to teach the way we used to teach. So we had virtual learning, and in fact, it was kind of a perfect crash course. People were forced to do something different. You had no other choice. We have generative AI. It will change not only how we teach, it'll change every single career path we ever imagine. In fact, I think most of us are somewhat overwhelmed because the thought of what generative AI can do, we aren't even thinking about all of the things it can do, even those of us who love to dream all the time. And then the other opportunity is you get to be around young people. I love being around young people. They make me smarter, they make me faster. Occasionally I look stupid trying to figure out a technology, but they tend to be very patient with me. And it's an opportunity for you to help shape minds and think about where we want to go and how you want to support learners. So we talked a little bit about our pathways, and you're going to have the next 2 days where you're going to hear multiple forms of our pathways. So you can have the traditional model where you enter a school of education and you go through our program, and our faculty members will prepare you for your internship, and then after your bachelor's degree, you would be ready to enter a classroom. Another pathway that you can have here at UAS is you can go get a bachelor's degree in arts and sciences. So you could specialize in biology or mathematics. And then after your bachelor's degree, you can come to the School of Education and you can get a master's degree. And you can get it in 1 year. And then you can go and teach. And also, by the way, and you'll learn this in your next 2 days, when you have a master's degree, you go up on the salary schedule. So there's those opportunities. There are people in this room who are working on creatively solving other ways to get into the teaching field. We're looking at apprenticeships. We're looking at ways for people to work. So my bachelor's degree is in architecture. And I went to be an architect, and I decided I really wasn't enjoying that, and so I substituted for multiple times at multiple grade levels, and I figured out that I really like high school mathematics. That was after I did shop. I love shop, but it was nerve-wracking. So in my high school mathematics, I ended up taking alternative courses that got me a certification in the alternative direction. And the thing is I probably became an educator around 24, 25. Like I told you, my late husband, Adam, he became one around 29, 30. There's multiple ways for us to get into education. We need you here. You're going to hear a lot of stories about how to navigate our education system, but understand that we have multiple pathways. So based on your decisions, you can come next fall, or we can see you in a few years, but we'd love to have you back. So welcome to UAS. And before we get going, I would like to have the School of Education faculty come up and staff and introduce themselves so you have an idea of who to look for. So while you're in these next 2 days, grab one of them and talk their ear off, please, because they'd love to help you understand and learn about our education system and why they think you should be here.
Hi, everyone. I'm Christine Ermold. I have my doctorate, and I'll be teaching a couple sessions. I really hope you guys come and join me. I teach here in the School of Ed for people who want to be teachers and people who want to be principals.
Hello and welcome. My name is Mary Wagner, and 39 years ago, I started, my first teaching job was working with individuals with special needs. And then I retired 35 years later as a superintendent. And now this is my 4th year here as faculty, and I teach people who want to become superintendents. And I also support Christine and JP, who work with people who want to become principals. So welcome.
Hi, Jeffrey Loftus. I work predominantly with the Bachelor of Arts Elementary Ed program, and like the rest of our programs at UAS, we'd love to have you come and live on campus and be more of a traditional student, but most of our students do not, and they operate by distance. We have interactive classes. Just for example, with our Bachelor of Arts Elementary Ed right now, we have 15 senior student teaching all over the state. One lives in Juneau. So that's a good example. So be thinking about that kind of thing as well. Like Mary and many of us, I used to be a principal and high school teacher, elementary teacher, guidance counselor, lots of roles, electrician, you name it. But I've recently taken on a new role, the favorite, Grandpa.
Good morning, I'm John Podest. I go by JP, and I work in the Ed Leadership Program. So I work with Dr. Ermold, and we work with teachers who want to become principals in our schools.
Hi, I'm Emily Smith, and I work in the special education program. So I work with anyone who wants to either become a special education teacher or learn more about how to work with students with disabilities in their classrooms.
Hi, I'm Dr. Heather Batchelder. I've been here 10 years, and I prepare teachers to work with children with special needs.
Thank you. And we have Michelle Nakamura. She is actually now at Egan Building getting all of the snacks set up. You will see her. She's our admin manager. She keeps everything in order. She helps us do our job better. And then you will also meet Kelsey Walsh. She's our advisor, and she will be doing a presentation in the next 2 days, I believe at 1:30 today. She is an excellent resource to tell you about our programs, how to navigate our programs. She's also a wonderful, kind person. And we are so happy that you're here, and thank you for coming, and enjoy your 2 days.
I'm Ellen. I'm introducing Catherine Walker. Catherine Walker is the 2024 Alaska Teacher of the Year and the 2024 National Teacher of the Year finalist. Catherine teaches oceanography, marine biology, unmanned aviation science, and PLTW engineering essentials at Diamond High in Anchorage. She sponsors Battles of the Books, Ocean Club, Green Effects Club, and GSA. Catherine was born in Sitka, Alaska, and graduated from Chugiak High School. She earned her BS in biology from Bradus University in Boston, Massachusetts, and her Master of Art in Teaching from UAA.
Good morning, everybody. It's wonderful to be here. And we'll see if I can figure out, I think I have the same clicker, so this should be easy. I have my notes because this is the second speech I've ever given. So thank you for letting me practice with you, and I'll do my best. As a teacher, I don't tend to give speeches. Students in the classroom work on solving problems, and I'm there to support them as they do so. There is a beginning slide if you go back. Thank you. All right. So I'd like to start like I do in my classroom with getting just a quick feeling of how you're doing with the idea of being an educator. So using your thumbs, give me a thumbs up if you're super excited about it, like you're like totally on board. And if you're ambivalent, sideways thumb. And if people dragged you here kicking and screaming, give me a thumbs down. So show me how you're feeling. All right, thank you. And then how are your loved ones feeling about this process? So give me same thing if they're really excited for you, or maybe they're just like super angry and they're like, no, don't do it. That's good. Okay, all right, thank you. My name is Kat Walker, and my passion work is connecting students to their communities, preparing students for success in their future, and this is hard to hold all of it. Sorry, I'll start over. So my passion work is empowering students for success in future careers and their life in general by providing them with choice, voice, and a connection to their communities. I'm here with you today to discuss your potential career as an educator. As an analogy, think of your future career on the globe of all possible careers as a location on Earth. We find latitude and longitude on Earth using global positioning satellites, and the more of them we have, the better we can pinpoint a location. When you are trying to decide your future career, you can pay attention to different satellites. And my advice is paying attention to what work needs doing. And you can also pay attention to what brings you joy. And then pay attention to what skills you already have. And as you determine what work needs doing and what brings you joy, you can always add satellites for the skills you are working to gain to have those careers. Ooh. I was born and raised in Sitka, Alaska, land of the Tlingit, and I found happiness exploring the forests and the rocky beaches. And I loved exploring and trying to find treasure. And when I was little, the treasure on the beaches was the glass floats that traditional fishermen used to use all around the world. And at that point in my life, I wanted to be an explorer. Oh dear. Thank you for your patience with me. All right, so I loved exploring, and I remember when my family got a globe, and I was able to look at the globe really carefully, and I remember how disappointed I was that that globe was already filled in. And I realized I might need to change my career aspirations, that maybe explorers were not needed as much anymore. And my first memories of school were in Janice Davis's classroom in Sitka, and here she is in the middle. And here I am right next to her. And one of the reasons I loved her classroom was she empowered us to solve problems and make a difference and help people. And one of the ways we did this was with this kind of scary face in the middle. That is our Ambu Annie, where we learned how to practice first aid. And she had us practice by setting up car crash scenes, and one child at a time would get to come in and solve all the problems and do all the first aid. And I felt so good about being able to help people. And I realized that maybe that could be my satellite for work that needs doing, that I could help others. And I set my sights on being a surgeon. I decided that would be a good goal for me. So I'd like you to think about in your life, hopefully you've had an educator like I did that empowered you to give back and make a difference. And be thinking about that educator and reflect on your gratitude for them. I'm really lucky that I'm still in contact with Janice and we check in with each other. And if you are able to do so with the educators in your life that made you feel really good about yourself, I highly recommend telling them how you feel about it. She taught me at an early age that I could use compassion as a compass, and I could make sure that I set my goals on helping others, and that was really important to me in my exploration. And I kept on with my goal of wanting to be a surgeon, and I was really lucky in high school. I got to do an mentorship with Dr. Judith Whitcomb, who's a surgeon who's gone on to mentor many other students, including some of my own. This is a photo of when she visited my classroom and had a student present on her internship. And I went on from high school and did my pre-med and served as an EMT on campus at Brandeis University. And then I made the life-changing decision to give back to people and help others by joining the global community. And I did this through serving in the Peace Corps in Mali in northwestern Africa as a natural resource management volunteer. So I lived in this little village in sub-Saharan Africa, and I taught in a mud brick schoolhouse to students aged 3 to 15, all together in one room. And they ignited my passion for teaching. I realized that my joy satellite was educating others and giving back. And I took over the classroom from my host mother, who used rote memorization and physical punishment with the students to try to teach them French. And the students all spoke fluent Bambara, and I was a beginning Bambara speaker. So our classroom was a hilarious mix of charades and Pictionary, and we acted things out, and I made treasure maps for them to learn about geography and their place in the world, and absolutely loved it. And they taught me that I could help others and give back through education. And I also loved doing training sessions with villagers on things like beekeeping and mud stoves and making soap and natural insecticides. And I learned from my community all about deforestation and desertification, and I realized that work that needed doing was educating people on resource conservation. So at that point, I decided to head back to Alaska and get my degree as a teacher through UAA as the Masters of Arts in Teaching as a science instructor with a focus on preserving our natural resources. And in this video, you'll see a typical lesson in my classroom. I believe that involving experts in our classrooms is really important. So my students in my drone class got to work with a whale expert, and they learned how to use drones to collect whale snot. I'm not sure why I'm having trouble with the mic. So they collected whale snot. Uh-oh. Is the video not playing? That's sad. Good. Collecting data on whales in this way is a great way to assess whale health in a less invasive and a safer and a cheaper method. You can find out if the whale is pregnant and if the whale is stressed just by collecting a little bit of snot from the sample. So students worked with the expert in the community to gather this data, and it's important for educators and students learning from and with experts to have work-based learning experiences to benefit both public education and the communities that depend upon it. When public education and the community work together to support students, we strengthen their career, higher education, and life readiness skills, and support educators to continue to thrive in a demanding profession. Connecting our students to their communities in meaningful ways is the ultimate personalized learning and a way to engage all students and give them agency. Self-determination theory from behavioral psychology teaches us that a person with an autonomy, competence, and relatedness to others will develop intrinsically regulated motivation, and they will become self-starters. We can do this by providing our students with choice, voice, and a connection to their community. Kids want to be change makers. We just have to let them. And here's an example of a student that started my classroom in the pandemic over Zoom, and his name is Kevin. He gave me permission to tell this story. And I could tell right away he was really engaged and really motivated and really excited to be in an engineering class, but he was not turning in any work, and I realized he had a history of failing classes. And he got his hands on at home kit, and he started to work with his microbit and his breadboard, and I realized he was really good at what he was doing, but I couldn't figure out why he wasn't turning work in. And then we started working on Tinkercad, if any of you have used Tinkercad for computer-aided design. And his work was incredible. He designed a barn, and he designed the whole inside of the barn, and added all these features and really got good. And then we got to come back to school, and he found his passion in 3D printing. And in my classroom, he would spend hours designing and printing and helping others learn how to print. And in my district of almost 43,000 students, Kevin gives advice to my career tech education coordinators on how to fix printers. He is their go-to person for 3D printers in the district. And he, one day, was walking down the hall with a new print that he had made, and he ran into our school resource officer, who gave him a challenge. The Anchorage Police Department had been using faulty and expensive quick clip connectors, or QCCs, and the officer was hoping Kevin could make improved ones. So he spent countless hours and went through 9 iterations to reverse engineer and print a higher quality QCC at 1/20th of the cost. And the police department and the mayor came to our school and had this big ceremony to celebrate him, and it was really exciting, and they actually gave him a 3D printer, so he has his own now that he can work with. And then last year, he won the state wind turbine championship, and he got invited to nationals. And to fund his trip to nationals, he worked with our local eye doctor to design and print phone holders for low vision patients so they can still read. And he printed them for her, and they gave him a scholarship to nationals. And he's also been printing these corals at the bottom that are temperature sensitive, and they turn white when they get hot, so we can use them to demonstrate coral bleaching. Now, the reason I'm telling you this story is because meeting Kevin, you would never realize he continued failing classes. And he actually had to do some courses for credit recovery. And in his senior year, he's on track to graduate. And I'm really excited because he plans to head to trade school, and he is already improving his community, and I just can't wait to see what he does next. Students like Kevin need educators like you. As you're well aware, the youth of today have the ability to contribute to their communities, and they don't need to wait until they graduate. You can make a difference right now. Students immersed in relevant work become engaged in the learning process. Strong public schools improve communities by connecting student learning to careers and involving the community in problem-based learning. Students exposed to real-world problems on a local and global scale can have opportunities to explore and propose solutions to these problems. One way that I do this is by taking students on remote beach cleanups. We go every fall and every spring to Prince William Sound out of Whittier, and we bring the debris back to our classroom, and we work with a local engineer to sort the debris and grind it and turn the plastic into recycled lumber. Here's Patrick Simpson. He grew up in Cordova. And the students get to work with Patrick, and they get to reflect on ethical dilemmas inherent in different solutions, and learn about sustainability and stewardship of natural resources, especially when they see the remote beaches littered with trash. Last year, as you can see in the previous photo, students found hundreds of pounds of illegal fishing line buried beneath the snow, and they dug it out and they hauled it half a mile back to the boat in order to remove it from the beach and prevent entanglement of marine organisms. Cleaning up beaches and helping students make recycled lumber doesn't solve the problem of marine debris, but it helps students understand the impact that their actions have on future generations. Last year, another student named Logan fell in love with film during our drone class, and he volunteered on our beach cleanup. After taking a film class for free with his public school, he returned the following year with borrowed equipment to single-handedly direct, film, and produce a documentary of the event to raise community awareness, and it was featured in the Anchorage International Film Festival. I'm sharing this because he's a great example of a student who's academically successful already, but has benefited from career tech education classes where he's been able to try out possible careers to see if they're a good fit before spending money in higher education. Students like Logan need educators like you. When you start out as an educator, you should develop a support system. You don't have to do it all on your own. Bring the community into the classroom so professionals can support you in your understanding of current practices and knowledge so that students can learn from experts in their field. When the public visits our schools, they gain a better understanding of the challenges educators face and also see firsthand all the amazing things going on in Alaska's thousands of classrooms every day. Also, you can make learning more accessible for all students by bringing in experts from different ethnicities and cultural backgrounds. So historically underrepresented students can see themselves achieving future success related to their passions. It's easier to be it if you can see it. Students need to get outside of the classroom and into work-based learning opportunities like job fairs, like this one, field trips, job shadows, conferences, dual credit courses, internships, and mentorships. Many educators have never had experience outside of the school system and need access to quality professional development, including fellowships and externships. Sharing and celebrating your success is important. Mental health, both of students and educators, is at risk due to the pandemic and global events. Educators can combat this by empowering students to be change makers and by involving our communities. As students like Kevin and Logan work to identify and solve problems, they strengthen our collective resiliency and they improve their mental health. Educators need to be prepared for when they don't succeed as well. My first day with my first class, I demonstrated the eye wash station for regrettably the first time, and due to the built-up pressure, it exploded all over me. It was this geyser of water, and I didn't dry off until the end of the day. I just went soggily through my day, and students laughed at me the whole time, and it was a great way to meet them, because I think it took away that being scared of their teacher. They just saw me as being soggy. So things will happen. There will be lots of mistakes. Let's see where I am. And you just need to make sure you're learning from them and that you are forgiving others when they make mistakes as well. On top of my many mistakes, I have lost students to cancer, to car accidents, and to suicide. Grief is a constant when you love so many. In the words of Amanda Gorman, the first ever National Youth Poet Laureate, let the globe, if nothing else, say this is true, that even as we grieved, we grew, that even as we hurt, we hoped, that even as we tired, we tried. Throughout my journey as an educator, I have maintained compassion as my compass. Always remember that students who act in unloving ways are likely themselves feeling unloved. Strive to meet students where they are to help them feel warm, welcome, and included while providing choice, voice, and a connection to their community. Our communities are in dire need of surgeons, artists, electricians, authors, engineers, plumbers, dentists, receptionists, mechanics, and countless other professions in which students pursuing them will make a difference. Although I ended up in an unexpected profession, as an educator, I get to help people and I get to make a difference. As an educator, I also still get to use my joy compass of exploration. Last summer, as an educator, I completed a fellowship in Costa Rica, protecting pollinators in preparation for a future student trip. Last fall, as an educator, I completed a fellowship with National Geographic on a 3-week Lindblad ship traveling through remote islands north of New Zealand, and I got to meet people from different cultures and snorkel in the coral reefs that I teach my students about. I also added another joy satellite when I discovered I love teaching ecology to educators with Prince William Sound Community College. And we have one of the professors here with us today, Dr. Bjorn Walter. Empowering students of all ages with choice, voice, and a connection to community with a focus on sustainability and stewardship of natural resources is definitely work that needs doing. I have learned that as an educator, you can still explore your own interests and grow as a lifelong learner. Education is a profession vast enough to allow you to change your career coordinates based on your satellites as much as you need. Remember the educator you thought of earlier who made a difference in your life? If you become an educator, someday you will have students feeling the same gratitude for you. Educators are life changers. We change people's lives. Educators make all professions possible. Thank you for your time. And when you're ready for an internship, let me know and come hang out in my classroom, and we're going to have so much fun. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, everybody who took the time to present today. I think what we're going to try and do is get a group photo, as well as those who didn't get a chance to get a rain jacket yesterday. We want to make sure that you're able to get your rain jacket before we walk out of here. So,
Hello. That's a little loud. Hello. So I guess if we can have people sort of stand in the center here, I believe Putt is going to go up on the balcony and take a photo from above. So if we can have everyone come onto the floor and face the scoreboard, that would be great.
You have a great voice for public speaking.
Hello, hello, hello. All right, so if I could have a group, if there was anyone who didn't get their rain jackets, please come meet me over here under this basketball hoop. Both. We'll see. We'll see. Well, I'll have you come over too. If Gary says we've got enough, then we'll happily give you a rain jacket. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, after people get together here. Okay, so as we leave, before everyone leaves, that's okay, go to the bathroom. But come back. Before everyone leaves, we have some swag bags that were brought by UAS. So as you exit the door, on the right-hand side will be the student swag bags. On the left-hand side will be teachers and chaperones. They're different, so stay in your lines. Any other announcements?
Do they know where to go? We're all walking together. Yeah. So
Yeah.
we should wait and say, no one leave until we all go.
After you've gotten your swag bags, please sort of gather up outside and we will all walk across the street again to the Egan building.